Hello guys, this is Arbz. We have another exciting game that we need to cover. So this game played by Lear versus Fischer. Fischer playing the King's Indian defense. So let's start. d4, knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, bishop g7. As what you've observed, when you want to play the King's Indian defense, you need to accelerate the development of your king side by playing knight f6, g6 and bishop g7. This formation is called fianchetto bishop. Okay, so it allows white to build a strong center here. As you can see in the board, there is a pawn on e4, d4 and c4. The main move here for black is to play d6 to prevent e5, since if white play this move, then black could just take it. After d takes e5, queen takes d1. After king takes d1, then knight g4. This is advantage for black, and this is what King's Indian wants to play if he is playing a beginner. Okay? So after e4, instead of d6, which is the main line, Bobby Fischer played kingside castle here. So this idea is black invites white to play e5, which happened in the game. Bobby Fischer played knight e8, then f4. So white wants to occupy the central squares with his pawns. Okay, but that is what Bobby Fischer wants to his opponent. These pawns could be the target in King's Indian defense, and this is how to play against this formation, d6. After bishop e3, now c5. So Bobby Fischer played this move to put pressure on these pawns, d4 and e5. In the game, white captured the pawn on c5, but here, this pawn on d4, now it removes the defender of e5. Though there's still defender on f4, but at least now black can play knight c6 to put more pressure on e5. Bobby Fischer sacrificed a pawn to have a quick development of his pieces. So Bobby Fischer is the master of initiative. If you want to have initiative right in the opening stage, then you can sacrifice a pawn, then develop your pieces. So there are some situation like this. Okay. White played c takes d6, then e takes d6. Then he played knight e4 here. Obviously, if white will capture the pawn on d6, then you are helping the black's pieces to activate. Okay, now look at this. The king is still in the center here. These pieces are not yet developed, so this is better for black. Knight e4 has been played, bishop f5, knight g3, then Bobby Fischer played bishop e6. Knight f3, developing a piece, and here Bobby Fischer played a move that put more pressure again on e5 without trading his pieces. He played queen g7. Of course, he can take the pawn on e5 here, but Bobby Fischer doesn't want to trade his queen on d8. So he played queen c7. Queen to b1. White idea now is to play f5, d takes e5, then f5. Here, this is a big decision that you need to make. If you capture the pawn on f5, this is a mistake because you're allowing the opponent to generate a counterplay to your king. That is a bad strategy. Okay. You can move the bishop back to g7 if you want, but here, if you're under attack, you need to look for a counterplay. So the best defense is offense. Bobby Fischer played. Can you spot the move? You can pause the video if you want. He played e4. Take my bishop and I can take your knight. If white will take the pawn on e4, then that is the time he will take the pawn on f5, and the knight on e4 is pinned. Black has the advantage. So after e4, black captured the bishop on e6, e takes f3, g takes f3, and here Bobby Fischer played f5 with a threat of f4, forking the knight and the bishop. White played f4, then knight f6. This pawn now is a dead pawn, overextended pawn. Once we talk about overextended pawn, it means that pawn uh, passed by in his boundary, okay? And it's very difficult for white to protect that pawn. Bishop e2, rook f to e8. Now black starts to attack that weak pawn. King f2, rook takes e6, rook e1. As what you observe, all now the black's pieces are very active, so we need to activate another piece. Bobby Fischer played rook a to e8. So logical, right? Creating a battery attacking the bishop on e3. Bishop f3, and here, pause the video if you want to find the brilliant combination here. Bobby Fischer played rook takes e3, a positional sacrifice. When we talk about positional sacrifice, is you are trading a higher piece value to a lower piece value. Rook has 5 points, the bishop has only 3 points, but there is a reason to it. There's a purpose behind this, and Bobby Fischer calculated all this possible outcome. Rook takes e3, rook takes e3, and after king takes e3, now the brilliant move. This is an important technique. Pause the video and find the excellent move. Bobby Fischer played queen takes f4, and after this move, white resigned the game because he realized once he captured the queen, there is bishop to h6, and that is a checkmate. That is unexpected, right? Now the question is that what if white doesn't want to take the queen if he will play king e2? Obviously there is knight d4 check. It attacks the bishop and the king. What if he would play king to f2? Then there is knight g4 check. You're gonna play king to g2, another check, knight to e3. Attacks the king, since the king defending the bishop. King to f2, now knight to d4. And again, this is, of course, advantage for black. He is attacking, and his king is safe. Right? Hope you learn from this game, and thank you for watching. So again, this is Arbz, and have a good day. Bye-bye.